So what is up, everybody? This is All Day OBJ here, bringing you kind of a new series on my channel. Series is going to be called Why This, and I'm just going to be talking about why you should use certain score streaks or guns, and kind of just give you a breakdown and strategies for each kind of thing. So let's get right into this first episode. Now, in this episode, we're going to be comparing the K9 unit and the Swarm. Now, these score streaks are, both very high score streaks, both very good, and I'm just going to be talking about each one and why you should use them, and which one is better at the end. Now, so the gameplay you're going to be seeing in the background, now this first one is a 54 kill league play game with attack dogs, actually, and 54 kills in league play is absolutely insane. In league play, for me, and in my opinion, a 50 kill league play game is as impressive as getting a 100 plus in multiplayer. So, this league play game is pretty good. They're attack dogs, obviously. Now, this is not my gameplay. This is my friend, It's Velocities. When I play league play, I use the lower score streaks, but he likes to go for higher score streaks, so, this is his gameplay. And then, as well as this game, you're also going to see a Swarm gameplay by one of my, one guy that I know on XBL. So, he gets a couple Swarms, and I'm not even near the level required for getting a Swarm. I'm like level 20, 10th prestige, so I'm not really even close to the level to be able to get have the Swarm unlocked. So yeah, so those are the gameplays you're going to be seeing in the background while we talk about these score streaks. Now, so yeah, let's get right into this. So first, we're going to be talking about the K9 unit. Now, the K9 unit is a very, very powerful score streak, obviously. It has been seen in past Call of Duties, as you probably know. In Modern Warfare 3, the dogs were there, but it was just like in survival mode, and it was also in Spec Ops, and yeah, that kind of stuff, pretty much. So, those were the only times you'd see them. It's not like the dogs would be in other, other multiplayer, sorry, in other, things like that, like multiplayer. Now, in Black Ops 2, which is obviously what we're mainly talking about, the dogs obviously are insanely good, but they require 1700 score. Now, 1700 score is quite a lot. They're pretty darn hard to get, because 1700 score overall just is quite a lot. Now, what's interesting about them is that they can also kind of help the enemy team in a way, because if the enemy team is smart, they'll be shooting down the dogs, and the thing is, for every dog that you kill, you get 50 points if you're on the enemy team, while the other team has attack dogs. So, at the same time, dogs can be good, but other times, if the enemy... Now, there's pretty much never a time when the enemies are just going to destroy every single one of your dogs. That's just not going to happen, but let's say they did, then it would more benefit the enemies in a way. But that's very unlikely to happen. So overall, the dogs, though, are very, very good. As you can see in this game, which he hasn't gotten the dogs yet, but when he gets them, they just absolutely wreak havoc. They get triple feeds, all that kind of stuff. So overall, the dogs are very, very good score streaks. So if you haven't tried them out, I'd recommend trying them, but they are pretty darn hard to get, as I said before, but they are worth it. Now, one thing is that with the dogs, you only get 15 score per kill with the dogs, and that still helps. It will still let you stack your score streaks, obviously, but it's definitely less than the Stealth Chopper or the Warthog, which will give you, 25 score, obviously. Now, moving on, the Swarm. The Swarm is pretty darn powerful, just like the dogs. I mean, it's an extremely high score streak, even higher than the dogs. So in that regard, it probably is not as good in terms of score. But then again, there are quite a lot of other things that make it very, very good, and I'll tell you why. Now, what's interesting about the Swarm is... Well, actually, no, it's not insanely, different than other things, but if the enemies have Blind Eye, the Swarm will still attack them. And that's also true with the attack dogs. Blind Eye is a very underpowered score streak, in my opinion. It doesn't, counter everything it should. If you have Blind Eye and there's a Swarm up, the Swarm is still going to target you, which is kind of... I really don't think that's ideal, because Blind Eye should be doing what it's supposed to, but it really doesn't. So, Blind Eye really doesn't help with any of these score streaks. Now, with the Swarm, what it's going to be doing is it calls in a ton of hunter killer drones if you haven't, seen one or used one already. Now, there really is no counter to the swarm except for either staying inside so you don't get killed, but even if you're inside, if you're peeking your head out of a window, the hunter killers will just dive bomb through that window and then, destroy you in that regard. But with the hunter killers that come in, they're just all over the place. And also a great part about the swarm is that it can destroy score streaks. Like, if you have ever called in a hunter killer and aimed it at the sky, and you might have noticed it has destroyed a UAV instead of killing someone. Now the swarm can do just that. It can destroy score streaks. It can destroy UAVs, counter UAVs, all that kind of stuff. So it doesn't just get kills, but also takes out stuff that the enemy has. Now also with the swarm, as I said, the only way to counter it is either to stay inside, but you can also call in an EMP systems. Now, if you call in an EMP systems, it will destroy every single hunter killer drone that is part of the swarm. So that's pretty much like the only way, only way you can really counter it, or at least destroy the hunter killer drones. But the thing with the swarm is that because of how many hunter killers are there, it will just annihilate the other team, just completely annihilate them. It's pretty darn crazy what it can do. If you look up, if you just watch any swarm gameplay, like for example in this, the swarms will get quad feeds, triple feeds constantly. Each swarm will give you around like 20 kills or so. So overall, the swarm is extremely good. Now, you might be thinking, which one should I be using? Dogs or swarm? Let's say I could only use one of them, not both, even though in this gameplay this person's using both of those score streaks. Now, in my opinion, I say the swarm is better because of the reason of how powerful it is, how many quad feeds it will get, all that kind of thing. Now, the only time when I think the attack dogs will be better is when it all depends on the map, really. The swarm will do well on any open map, like even if a map isn't completely open. For example, this map, it still does pretty well. As you can see, it still gets a couple triple feeds. But if you use the swarm on a very open map, for example Turbine, it will just do work for you. It's pretty insane what the swarm can do. And the thing is, on the giant open maps, that's when the dogs can't really do much because they're just so scattered throughout the map that they just really won't get you any kills, and you'll get like 3 kills with the dogs on one of those maps where it's just so big that the dog can't even do anything. But let's say you're playing on a smaller map, for example, Nuketown, the dogs will just absolutely go to town. They'll get you tons and tons of kills. All that kind of stuff. So overall, I would recommend, if you're going to be using this this kind of setup, I would recommend using the Orbital VSAT, the attack dogs, and the swarm. So that's what I would use if you want to stack these score streaks really well. That's just kind of like that's just what what I would use. But then again, if you prefer using like the escort drone to lead up to your swarm or something like that, then go with that. It's just whatever your personal preference is. And by the way, I think for the next videos, I'll put the stats up on the screen so you can actually see them. That way you don't just, hear them. But anyways, click any of the links that you see to see more videos. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.